Human trafficking is a silent epidemic. It is the trade of humans into forced labor, domestic servitude, and commercial sex trafficking. In the United States alone, 18,000 people are trafficked every year. Florida ranks third behind New York and California in human trafficking activity, and Tampa is the #1 city for activity in Florida. 200 kids go missing each day, and 1 out of 3 will become a victim of trafficking. How many will you notice have gone missing? How many will you notice have gone missing? Young kids are lured into human trafficking by classmates and friends, as well as adults.
Hey Mom, watch me.
Hey Cal, what you doing?
Just playing around.
Can I play? Hey, you want to go hang out at my brother's house? He has his new video game.
Hey Mom, can I go to Sharon's house? Her brother has a new video game.
Okay, where does her brother live?
It's right down the street.
Okay, don't stay too long.
Yes, ma'am.
Little do they know that Sharon has set him up to be her older brother's next human trafficking victim. What advice can you give an adult that has shared your experience?
I want everyone to understand that no matter what their story is, there's hope. A lot of times when you've survived sexual abuse or any type of trauma, we tend to live behind this facade of guilt and shame. It's not your fault, and there is hope, but you have to reach out.
What led you into the world of human trafficking?
From the time that I was 3 until the time that I was 17, my father sold me for sex. For a lot of years, even after I got out of the cycle of abuse by him, I continued to perpetuate that cycle upon myself. But today, I have found hope and I have found strength, and I want to raise awareness.
What would you like to see that the public be made more aware of regarding human trafficking?
But it happens everywhere, in churches, in schools, in parks. It crosses all types of socioeconomic backgrounds and positions in societies. I think that far too often we choose to look the other way. We live in a society that has billboards for everything from sex to religion. So it's just hard to understand how, as a society, as a community, a culture, we're so oblivious to this atrocious violation of humans.
The International Labor Organization estimates that there are 20.9 million victims of human trafficking globally. 66% are women, 22% are children, and 12% are men. Many human trafficking victims are from foreign countries and are brought to the United States under force, fraud, or coercion. The Trafficking Victims Protection Act allows law enforcement to protect international victims through forms of immigration relief such as continued presence and the T visa, which allows the victim to temporarily reside in the United States. Can you tell us more about this process?
Generally, victims have a number of legal needs, and one of the legal needs that most foreign-born victims will have is related to immigration. They need help with their immigration status. So I help victims apply for T visas, a congressionally created visa available for victims of trafficking. It allows them to have temporary status for 3 years and then access to a green card.
What laws protect the survivors from deportation?
Once they apply and qualify for a T visa, then they would no longer be subject to deportation.
How do you help the survivors with previous criminal records or an avoidance of punishment?
They may be able to avoid punishment by explaining that they are victims, so that the prosecutor will choose to not pursue the case. A judge might dismiss the case, or they can use the defense of coercion and other defenses.
Can you describe the demographic that is most commonly found in forced labor?
There is no one demographic. It varies substantially. Forced labor is very broad, so we can see individuals who work in agricultural settings to individuals who work in factories to individuals who work at homes. Generally, some of the agricultural work, when workers come on temporary worker programs, they might primarily be men.
How can you help them receive ongoing services or legal status?
A foreign-born victim who is determined to be a victim of trafficking is eligible for case management services and social services that can assist them as they rebuild their life and with their basic needs. And then they are also, as I said previously, eligible for a T visa potentially. And with the T visa, they can obtain the ability to work legally. They can be reunited with certain family members and then eventually obtain a green card for permanent status.
Human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Of the 20.9 million victims worldwide, 14.2 million are in forced labor, 4.5 million are in sex trafficking, and 2.2 million are in state-imposed labor, such as prisons. Can you tell us how you help survivors after they have been rescued?
We work with young ladies. We actually work with a specialized population, ages 12 to 17. Once they are rescued or brought into the system of Department of Children and Families. Those children are then placed with Miracles or any other agency that can house those particular types of children. We provide residential housing as well as education, counseling, whatever they need to help them to become stable and to get their lives back on track.
What does your organization do for the survivors?
In addition to shelter, we help them with education plan as far as enrolling in school, helping them to assess where they are. Some of the main things I'll say that we focus on is definitely medical care, making sure that's something that's done immediately when they come in, making sure that they go to the doctor, be it medical, dental, eye, all of those things that most of the times, if they've been a victim of trafficking, that's been neglected. So just helping them to get those services as well as counseling and whatever. We have to just go through a list of things to find out what their needs are.
What message would you like to spread?
I think the most important thing for me is making sure that everyone understands that there is no, you can't stereotype what a trafficking victim looks like. Anyone can be a victim. And I think another thing that we face regularly is making sure people understand that all pimps are not male. They are all women pimps. They are not just men. So those would be the two most important things I would want to stress.
Once a victim is rescued from human trafficking, there is now a new journey they must travel. Can you tell us how you help survivors after they have been rescued?
Our center provides sexual assault exams within 120 hours, which is about 5 days of a sexual assault. With victims of human trafficking, of course, we have certified nurses who are trained to be able to gather forensic evidence off of a medical exam. We provide preventative medication for STDs for them.
What does your organization do for the survivors?
Let them know that we're here, we support them, we believe them, and we're able to provide support for them. We also help connect them to counseling. We have specific trauma-focused counseling at the Crisis Center. We're able to go to court with them. A lot of times we have victims of human trafficking who there's a lack of trust with law enforcement because we have pimps who have taught them not to trust law enforcement.
What areas do you feel are underfunded?
Continuum of services is really what's underfunded because human trafficking has very different needs. And as an advocate, My job is trying to work across counties sometimes and working across different organizations to pull all the resources together for a victim. It would be so much easier if there were specialized task forces specifically for human trafficking victims in every county.
What areas of your profession or advocacy do you feel need more attention and why?
I would like to see more federal and state grants going out to organizations to help victims of human trafficking, and grants that favor collaboration between organizations, not pitting organizations against each other.
What are safe ways that a person can report if they suspect human trafficking?
A safe way is the human trafficking hotline. They actually will take your call anonymously, and if somebody else calls and asks about this particular report, they won't even give who provided the report. They're very anonymous, they're very safe, and they have contacts across counties of law enforcement that they'll forward the case to. It's a very easy number, 888-373788.
You ready, girl?
So who's gonna be there?
Remember that guy I was telling you about that works at the modeling agency? He's having a casting call today, and I told him about you.
You did that for me, girl?
Yeah, girl. You know I got you.
I don't even know what to say.
I'll take care of all the talking. Let's go. Hey.
Hi, Maria. Is this your friend Janet?
Yep, this is her.
Cool. If you want to go ahead and head inside, and I can chat with her real quick.
Okay.
So, if you want me to be your agent, you're going to have to do some favors for me.
In each of these scenarios, young people were lured into the human trafficking world by people they knew and trusted. Each interaction with a friend or classmate may seem innocent, but results could be deadly. Janet and Kyle never suspected that their friend or classmate would plan something like this. It never even crossed their minds. But there are ways to prevent this from occurring. There is no age, race, gender, or socioeconomic status in the world of human trafficking. Anyone can become a victim. Know your circle of friends and who they hang out with. Ask questions if a situation seems suspicious, questionable, or too good to be true. Don't get involved. If you enter a situation and feel uncomfortable, leave. If you can't, text someone you trust to help you escape. As a parent or guardian, ask to meet your child's friend and their extended family. Know who your child's friends or classmates are and where they live. Meet their parents or guardian before allowing your child to visit. Always ask for the contact information of your child's friend or classmate. Call the number and verify before allowing them to go. Lastly, always trust your gut instincts. Know that these tips are not applicable in every situation. Some victims being trafficked by their own family or someone else they know and trust may be exploited in the labor trade. In those cases, you will need to reach out to the authorities to help them. What message would you like to spread?
The message I'd like to spread today is the fact that human trafficking is modern-day slavery. Unfortunately, there is a lot of denial that slavery still exists in the United States of America. I also wanted to let people know that there are 3 forms of human trafficking. Those forms are domestic servitude, labor trafficking, and sex trafficking. Unfortunately, we only discuss one form of human trafficking, which is sex trafficking. So what we are actually doing is pitting victim against victim. We are ignoring victims of domestic servitude and labor trafficking, which in my opinion is a travesty.
What areas of your profession or advocacy do you feel need more attention and why?
At this point, I think we definitely need more attention and advocacy towards the issue of forced labor. As I've mentioned before, most of the documentaries, the media, and most of the advocates specifically talk about the issue of sex trafficking. When you look at global statistics on human trafficking, only 20% of victims of human trafficking are victims of sex trafficking, while 78% of those victims are victims of forced labor. So we are ignoring the major portion of the issue as a whole.
What are a few things that you wish the public would become more aware of and act on?
I really do believe that if the public would have a better understanding of what human trafficking looks like, the fact that it could be anyone. It could be the person who's giving you a manicure or pedicure. It could be the person who's serving your food. Or it could be the woman that's walking down the street at 3 o'clock in the morning. I think if people understood that that person may actually be a victim of human trafficking and take the time to report it, it would make a world of a difference.
Human trafficking is often hidden in plain sight. There are a number of red flags or indicators which can help alert you to human trafficking. Recognizing the following signs is the first step in identifying victims. If the person doesn't make eye contact with anyone, if the person doesn't speak up or they defer to another person to speak for them, if the person is exhibiting strange behavior, acting fearful, anxious, submissive, or depressed, if the person doesn't have many possessions or they are not with family or friends, these are possible indicators that an individual is a part of human trafficking.